Hey y'all. So, William Barr, the Attorney General, has released a 4-page summary of his principal findings from the Bob Mueller report to Congress. And as I suspected, it is a list, or it's a very selective reading of the Mueller report, which is very favorable to Trump. So, as it relates to the Russian collusion aspect of the investigation, William Barr's assertion is that there was not enough evidence of collusion between U.S. persons, any Trump campaign people, or Trump himself with Russia. As it relates to the obstruction of justice, William Barr made the determination that there was not enough evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to show corrupt intent on Trump's part to obstruct justice. Now, why was he allowed to make that determination himself? It's because Mueller kicked the can to Barr and to Rosenstein. He did not have the guts to make the determination himself, which means that Trump's attacks on Mueller worked. So, Trump spent years attacking Mueller's credibility, attacking the investigation, calling it a witch hunt, screaming no collusion. He was able to successfully purge people from the FBI and the DOJ that were there when the investigations against Trump started, even before the elections. And he was able to discredit those people. And so I think that those sorts of political calculations are what Mueller had in mind when he declined to make the prosecution decision himself. Maybe he wasn't looking for a fight with William Barr, or maybe he just punked out. Either way, I'm very skeptical that we're going to find out the truth of what's really happening in Bob Mueller's report. Now, William Barr, he had a very predictable but smart strategy. He bought himself some time by releasing this 4-page summary that actually in some ways exonerates Trump. Even though it says it doesn't exonerate him, it's enough to frame the narrative as an exoneration. And so what this does is it gives Trump and his cronies a head start to start reshaping the narrative about how this was a nothing burger and how there was nothing there and it was all a witch hunt and they spent 2 years investigating and they found nothing. We don't know that they didn't find anything. What we know is that they didn't find what they determined to be adequate. The bar was obviously obscenely high because what we saw in public was enough to make it clear that there was some collusion happening. But the reason why I don't have any faith in us finding out the truth of this is, number one, we know that Barr was hostile to the investigation from the jump. We know that he is not for complete transparency. And so we also know that we weren't told the truth before the election about what happened with Russia's involvement in our election to help Trump. We know that President Obama went to the Gang of Eight and he asked them to release a joint report that said that Russia was interfering, or joint statement saying that Russia was interfering for the purpose of helping Trump. Mitch McConnell said, hell no, and that he was going to make it political. And so what happened? They released a watered down statement, and we didn't even find out until after the election that this conversation even happened. And so I don't have any faith in the fact that we will one day or anytime soon find out the contents of the Mueller report, or that we will find out any of the underlying investigative materials that went into these decisions. I think Barr is going to fight it tooth and nail, and I don't know how far the Congress is willing to go on this. I think it was a huge mistake to just show such deference to Mueller and to show such deference to ongoing investigations that amounted basically to jack shit, instead of having more transparency, having more open hearings, and really pursuing these things in the public domain. And so the Democrats have been making insinuations about all this incriminating stuff, and instead of just coming right out and saying it, they tried to make it seem like this would all be revealed in due time. Well, guess what? Now is the due time. It's time for the Democrats to stop beating around the damn bush and to stop playing coy, okay, about what they know, and they need to be straight up with the American people, period. And they should have been doing it all along. All right. And so that's what I think is next, and what's very important about where the Democrats go from here. They've already lost a lot of valuable time. They put far too much stock in Bob Mueller and expecting him to be the savior of the Republic, and he punked out. Okay? He punked out. He kicked the can down to somebody else, and he refused to take a stand one way or another. That was not the right decision. And so obviously the Democrats miscalculated. And if they thought that this Mueller report was going to be so damaging that they didn't need to take seriously any of the other stuff, they also thought wrong. And so what the Democrats need to do is change course, and they need to start making it plain how serious all of this criminal and corrupt activity that we already know about Trump is to the American people. And they just started making this case yesterday. So here are some of the things that they can focus on. Number one, they need to be more timely in their in the issues that they raise. For instance, last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, it was reported that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are using unsecured communications such as WhatsApp and AOL, okay, or not AOL for Ivanka, but personal emails. And they're having discussions with foreign leaders. Jared Kushner, in some cases, is kicking out diplomats in meetings with foreign leaders. We already know from reporting earlier, a year or so ago, that foreign leaders are bragging about how easy it is to manipulate Jared Kushner. And so this is the kind of thing that Jared Kushner needs his ass hauled into Congress right away. They have suspect securities that were personally directed by Trump. We need to understand what kind of incriminating evidence was found that made career professionals not want to grant clearances to Ivanka and to Jared. And so there are plenty of things that the Democrats can be focusing on, and they need to be able to focus on all of them and stop putting their eggs in anybody else's basket. Now the new line is SDNY is going to find some incriminating evidence. Well, guess what? It's time to do your damn job of oversight and accountability. And if somebody else finds something along the way, great. But you cannot depend on it, because these people they have prosecutorial intent. If nothing comes out of it in terms of an indictment, then all of those redactions, all of the deference basically made it too late to do anything about. And that's what we have with Mueller. If we would have been getting this information through hearings all along, it may have made an impact. But instead, we waited for a report that we're probably never going to see, at least not for a couple of years, until after Trump is potentially reelected. And so there is that. Then we have Trump's tax returns. We need to be subpoenaing that. We need to find out, what's going on with all of his businesses and all his business entanglements. We know that he's not separated financially from his businesses. So what's going on with the Trump DC hotel? There are emoluments, cases against it. We need to be having hearings on these sexual assault claims against Trump. Why haven't there been any hearings on that? We need to be having hearings on this whole Boeing debacle. What kind of influence has the former CEO of Boeing and now acting defense secretary had on Trump? We know that he talks a lot by phone with the defense, CEOs and things like that. Is that influencing any of our policy? We need to understand his foreign policy decisions a lot more. And so all this deference that's been showed, all of this, punting that's been done, they need to start getting their act together and holding Trump and all of his officials flame to the fire. And more importantly, the advisors, such as Jared and Ivanka, they need to be holding them accountable instead of just hoping that somebody else is going to do it. So, unfortunately, I hate to be doom and gloom. I think that this report really strengthens Donald Trump considerably. It makes it much more likely that he's going to be reelected. And I know people would say, well, you don't even know what's in the report. Well, guess what? Are we ever going to see the damn report? If you can tell me that for a fact we're going to see this report and the evidence, then I will say, I don't know if he's going to be strengthened by this. But as I see it right now, he's got a damn good head start to start shaping the narrative, and he's really undercut people very effectively. And so by the time we find out any more incriminating information, people are going to be over it. There's going to be gone. People only care about the headlines. They don't care about the details. They don't care about what's in the weeds. But the one thing we know is that Trump continues to be corrupt. His administration continues to be corrupt. We know that he has committed crimes. And it's about damn time that the Democrats really press the issue on that and start holding him accountable. And if they don't, then you can kiss the White House possibilities goodbye. You can kiss the Senate goodbye. That will not be retaken by the Dems. And if it's shown that the Democrats are not going to hold Trump accountable, you can kiss the House goodbye too.